What's up, guys, and welcome to the return of two of our own. Now, this has been long overdue. I know loads of people have messaged me about this. I know loads of people have spoken about this, and anyone who has messaged me, I've given them my reasons as to why it hasn't come back before. But it is back, and I am really, really excited. I would like to welcome the new co-host, Harry. Now, Harry did one or two of the videos before with Ramon, and I know someone that we had great conversations with. I've known Harry a very long time, so I couldn't think of anybody more worthy to follow in his footsteps for this. So how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. We probably should have done this probably years ago, actually.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Harry have known each other a very, very long time, and we've always had Spurs conversations. We've always been on different podcasts and different shows together. So we both said it's kind of felt long overdue, really. Well, like when Spurs eventually win a trophy, it feels like the time's finally got there. So if we can get around to doing this once a week, then Spurs can get
I'm
around
sure
to
they
pulling
win a
the
trophy
finger
at
out
some
their arse.
point in the next couple.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to start off nice and simple. I say nice and simple. We've already agreed that we're going to disagree, which is great. We're going to start off nice and simple by going over our best Spurs Premier League 11. Now, I want to stipulate this by saying you can't suggest a player if you haven't physically seen them play. So there's no point me suggesting Ginola because I didn't watch him.
See, I've seen Ginola play, so it's a bit different, I guess.
Yeah, lucky for some, I can't comment on that. So that's going to be a little bit of conversation, and also we're going to take into account the fact that some players haven't been at Spurs for longer than a year. So some players will be honourable mentions because the duration isn't long enough to compete with others, and some players will probably only get in there just because they're the best in that time period because somebody else hasn't had that slot for longer. So the first, we're going to go formation. We'll go from defence to attack, manager, honourable mentions, and then we'll sort of discuss how we feel about it towards the end. So formation, I'm going to start by nominating 4-3-3. I think even though we've not played that system for long, it's definitely been the most attacking we've played. It's definitely been the most entertaining we've played at both ends of the pitch. And I think it's hard with a formation because it's not like a player where you think, it could fall off a cliff. A formation, a system will typically not fall off a cliff as long as you continue to grow it and develop it. So I'm going to start by nominating 4-3-3. My honourable mention would have been a 4-4-1-1 that we played under Harry Redknapp because that era with Aaron Lennon and Benoit Assou-Ekotto, Mr. I Don't Train at left back, and Modric at centre forward, and whatever. Do you know, that team was so vibey for Spurs fans because we didn't expect nothing. And you know what? We came out the blocks every game. We gave it our all. Even if we conceded 3 or 4 the game before, we'd still come out and try and win. So that would be my honourable mention, but I'm going to go 4-3-3 for my choice. What are you going for?
I mean, 4-3-3, the thing about that formation that's good to pick is because you can still play 10s in the 3. That's why it's a good choice. And then obviously the wingers, you can have 2 wingers, and nowadays people don't really play more than one striker, and I'm sure that we'll pick the same striker anyway, so it's not really a problem for that. But yeah, my honourable mention would have been the 4-2-3-1, just because under Pochettino that was probably our best formation.
Okay,
and I can't see us playing a 3 at the back either. So
yeah, no, I don't. For me, I want to forget Conte ball. Thank you very much. I might be able to play it well on Football Manager, but it was shit to watch.
I mean, people forget Poch actually played a 3-4-3 for a while. When the Walker was sold, he put Sanchez at right centre half and he moved Trippier into like a
because he ran out of ideas and wasn't tactically astute enough, as seen by watching Chelsea every week. You'll know and understand that. So we agree, and then the 4-3-3 is what we're going with.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've agreed on the first one. That's 1 out of 1. I'll tell you what, I'll put a little count in the corner.
Yeah.
It's cueing my poor editing skills of how many times we actually agree from the off. That's probably all it's going to stay with. Goalkeeper. Now, actually, to be fair, I said that's all it'll stay with. I think the answer's got to be Hugo Lloris, even though I absolutely love Vicario. He's a great character, and I think he's going to be outstanding for us for years to come. He just hasn't been at the club long enough. For me, it's got to be Lloris. He was our captain. There was so many. I was talking about it actually the other day with somebody at work about West Ham and how good Areola's been. And he kept them in the game at the weekend. And the sign of a true top goalkeeper is a goalie who can keep you in a game when everything's going against you, when you need to hold on for dear life. And the amount of times Lloris has done that over the years, that save against Real Madrid at Wembley that comes to think of it, where he rolled the ball he picks the ball up as it's going across the line and rolls away from the line, shielding the ball.
Yeah.
You know,
the one Lloris save I remember was when we, the Leicester season when we went away to City, and I think he palmed one. Like, I don't know how he did it, but it was kind of like on the line, and he palmed it out.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know. I don't
know. Yes, yeah, I do. Literally, he's at full stretch and he kind of flips it with his wrist. Yeah. For me, there were so many times in that period. People forget the last 2 years, and they always say, if you don't leave a hero, then you'll stay long enough to see yourself become a villain. And Lloris did that, unfortunately. And I think in the end, his send-off was pretty perfect with the words he said and being there with the fans and stuff. And the club did a real good job at giving him a decent send-off, which makes a fucking change. But I think Lloris, in that bulk years from probably 2015 to 2020, he was just incredible. He really was incredible. And for me, I don't think there's anybody else that I
think you could even argue from 2014 to 2020.
I just think we conceded too many goals. I know that was the defensive problem, but still.
I don't think it was really his fault.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think with Lloris, it's an easy one to agree on because the only honourable mention I'd say for someone like Gomez, but he's quite.
I'm not having that. Right. I knew you were going to say this. I'm not having that. Right. So the reason why Gomez does not get my honourable mention is because I was, 10? Maybe? No, 11. 11, 10 and 12, when that bastard got sent off against Inter Milan. I went to bed at half-time in absolute floods of fucking tears. We were 4-0 down. We just conceded a penalty. He got sent off. Cudicini came in, couldn't save the pen. I went to bed at half-time because it was late and I had school the next day.
That was the Bale hat-trick, wasn't it?
Yeah, after school, I then got to watch the second half because we recorded it back when it was on ITV. Like, UEFA get with the program.
The way better commentary. I just want to say this.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And that second half was unbelievable. And nobody told me about it at school because no one was Spurs fans. No one gave a shit. So it was fine. Right. But I went to bed in tears at half time. I'd never seen a goalie got sent off.
I remember Gomez for when we beat Arsenal for the first time in how many years? Was it 10 years?
Yeah, he played an absolute blinder, yeah.
That save against Van Persie for the free kick, I remember so well.
I'm still going to say my honourable mention.
Brad Friedel was another shout.
That would probably be my honourable mention.
The Vicario is that it's way too early. I think if he performs like this for the next 5 years...
Then absolutely, 100%. Yeah. But I'm going to say Brad Friedel was my honourable mention. But we've agreed on Lloris. So there's another agreement count. But I think Brad Friedel for me, he was fantastic when he came in.
For 2 years, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't there for long, but whenever he played, I thought he was great. I thought he was a really good character. Not Michelle Vaughan before anyone in the if anyone in the comments is doing that, you will be banned from the channel. I don't give a shit about subs. You'll be banned from the channel. On to left back then. Now, straight away, I'm going to say Destiny. I can't include him because he's just not been at the club long enough. But if he continues to perform,
so good,
he's outstanding for the age he is, the maturity he is, and everyone in the summer. Oh, he was signed to play wing back. He can't play inverted. Like, he has taken to that role like a duck to fucking water. He has been sensational. The way he uses his physical strength and his height to bully through players is just unbelievable. And
with him, I feel like it's hard to say this. It's quite early. I feel like I'm watching an established player, but I know he still makes mistakes. He still makes mistakes, though, obviously, because of his immaturity, I guess. Not immaturity, but inexperience. When he gave away a couple of goals, I can't remember if it was it Villa and United or something? I don't remember. One of those two.
Yeah, I think it was United. The thing is, you can see that it's down to inexperience, not down to inability.
But then when he on the ball, it's like you're watching someone who's been playing for 5 years.
It's incredible. So for me, he can't quite get in there, which means unfortunately,
for me, it's only one option. But Danny,
do you know what? Nah, do you know what? I'm going to be a little bit of a snake here. And I'm going to change what I was originally going to say on the whim. And I'm going to move it because this guy had the greatest performance he's ever had playing this position. You might have seen my tweet from earlier. He had the greatest game of his life playing that position. And even though he didn't play there all the time, he did play there often enough.
Yeah.
And because I'm too much of a pussy to say Danny Rose after how he left, I'm going to say Jan Vertonghen at left back. That game against Dortmund in 2019 where he played left wing back.
Yeah.
Left wing back.
You know what? For me, that was our best performance under Poch in the Champions League like
Yeah, I
ever.
think so. Yeah, he
Now, I was
was.
at that game. I was
So
sitting in
was
that
I.
game.
That was my
Like,
first Champions League game, and
I was
he
seeing
was
kind of.
absolutely unbelievable.
That's probably his best game in the Spurs shirt, I think.
100%,
Probably.
100%.
Yeah.
And he did fill in at left back quite a lot for us.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, people can say, oh, he was a centre back, stop being a pussy, pick an actual left back.
But I pick Rose personally. I don't want to pick
right, the reason why I'm not going to say Danny Rose is because the way everything went down after he got injured, I struggled to put him in. I don't look at Danny Rose the way I did pre that interview. It's hard for me to look at him the same
with
way.
the Sun. See, it depends how you view that interview. I saw it as like a speech of truth, personally, because
to me,
if we look at
it felt like
if you look at the current state of the club now, I still think we're doing the same pattern policy we're doing now.
But that interview felt more like him trying to get a money move to Man United because Walker got a move to City than it did because he was linked with a £50 million move.
I know he was. Yeah.
To United in the same period Walker was linked with a £50 million move to City. Walker got his move. Yeah. Rose got injured. Rose didn't get his move. Next thing you know, he's chatting shit in the media. He never really recovered from that. And then you got the whole disrespect with Jose Mourinho and that I'm going to get Daniel. Like, no. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to put Vertonghen in and I'm going to... I would accept Danny Rose if you're insistent, but I'm just being a bit of a prick and I don't want to include him personally.
Oh, it's a tough one. But then, is this like my 11 or your 11, or is this?
Well, we're gonna combine, so we've got to come to some sort of agreement. But I feel right. So let me say my logic. I think there's been more than enough top quality centre backs to make Vertonghen a left back.
It's obviously the other centre halves are going to be anyway. I think it's obvious the other two, in my opinion. But
then my centre backs are all dependent on if you're letting me count Vertonghen as the left back. If you're not, then that changes my centre halves.
The same team, that changes because you'll move Vertonghen to the middle, wouldn't you?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So I'll let
Vertonghen then, so I can have my two centre halves.
So you want to have Vertonghen as a left back?
Yeah. I
can't believe I've come out with this. So that's good, right?
Yeah.
So I'll let you go with your two centre halves first because I've gone first last time, and then I'll go with mine.
This is pretty obvious. Ledley, King, and Toby Alderweireld.
I would agree with that. The reason, so I wouldn't have, if you'd have forced me to go Rose, I would have taken Toby out for Jan.
Yeah, I know most people say this to me. I've had the same conversation with other people where they're like, don't put Danny Rose because of the interview. And then so they put Vertonghen at left back because they want to fit all three.
All three, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we had that conversation years ago that if we played a back three with Vertonghen, Ledley and Toby, it would be the greatest Spurs defence ever to exist. I think it's tough on someone like...
Free.
yeah. It's tough on someone like Romero, who hasn't been at the club long enough to really be in the conversation.
I mean, I love Van der Ven. I think he's so good.
Oh yeah, that's the other one as well for me. I think Van der Ven, if he stays at Spurs for the next 10 years, he will eclipse Jan Vertonghen for me.
He will.
So I think he's done enough already to go into honourable mentions.
Another one for me would be Yunus Kabul. I know that's off. No, honestly, his second spell under Redknapp was so good. I thought he was quality.
I was never a fan of him at all, really.
He played at right back for us for a while. I remember Redknapp.
Yeah, we had a habit of playing centre backs and right back because we couldn't be bothered to sign back up right backs. We did it with Wanfoy. We did it with.
Who got injured at right back and he moved Kabul there? I can't remember who it was.
It would have been Kyle Norton back then, wouldn't it?
No. Norton and Walker were out on loan. Who was playing at right back that season? Was it Chorluka? Maybe Chorluka got injured.
Probably, yeah.
Moved Kabul into right back. I remember.
I'm going to say my honourable mention for centre back will be Michael Dawson.
I knew you were going to say Michael Dawson.
Because I just absolutely loved it. He epitomised everything that it meant to wear the Spurs shirt. He knew he was never the best player on the pitch. He knew he was never the quickest. He knew he was never the strongest. But I'll tell you something, he gave everything for that shirt every time he played. And watching him growing up at centre-back for Spurs, I looked at that going, if that's not my players' mentality, if that's not what they leave on the pitch when they're done after 90 minutes, I don't want it.
The thing with Dawson is, in his heyday, he was actually like, him and King were under Martin Joel. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, a little bit. I remember bits.
They were like really good together. But what I think happened with Dawson, this is just my take on things. Football kind of evolved in like a different style. And it became more technical, more tactical. I think teams relied on more on pace, more
Yeah.
counter-attacking football. And I think because Dawson lacked the speed,
He got left
he
out,
didn't do anything
kind
about
of.
that. It's just how he was born in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because
I think
after
we kind of grew out of him. Not that he was a bad player in his heyday. Like honestly, him and King, like we obviously beat Chelsea for the first time in how many years with those two centre back. So it's not, and he actually scored that game. I remember that game.
I think like you say, we outgrew him.
Yeah, not that he was a bad player in
No.
his time. I just think football moved on. I think in the sense you don't
So-
see season and a half like Dawson much anymore, do you?
No, not really. No, like that kind of
That
centre
sort of
back
style,
plays at a team fighting relegation, playing 10 men behind the ball, where they've just got to sit and
maybe Tarkowski. I don't know.
yeah, and be a presence. So far we've got Lloris in goal, Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld, and Ledley King, and we've actually agreed on all of it so far, which is a miracle. Unfortunately, I can't deny it. I have to say Walker the wanker. Now, anybody who knows me, who followed me on Twitter for the longest time,
I remember you were angry when he left.
I was furious. And I tell you something, right? I was at school at the time and I was going, he'll never leave. He won't leave. He won't leave. He won't leave. All that stuff about him changing shit in January, it's just media's talk. No. Spurs won't accept to be. Levy will fight it. Levy will hold. Sky Sports News breaking Tottenham agree record fee to sell.
Argue about this,
mate.
Was it 2017 he left? Wasn't it? I think.
I think so.
You know what he was, because he was on he was at the last game. I remember this vividly, by the way. He was at the last game, the finale. He was at that game because a lot of Spurs fans were saying Carl Walker will want to stay after the game, because a lot of us stayed afterwards, right?
Right.
Last game at White Hart Lane. I stayed till 9 o'clock. They kicked me out at 9. I didn't want to leave because I have such good memories of that stadium. Like I have such vivid memories. Like the new stadium for me is a bit different. I haven't really, maybe in a few years I'll change my mind. But the old stadium has such close. Like, I have so many nights I remember going there. Like White Hart Lane under the lights for me was like a big thing. I love European matches and like night games.
Yeah.
It was like a big thing. But like I remember Carl Walker was there at that game, and everyone was saying, "Oh, we want you to say what you say." And I was thinking to myself, the way he was, like his body language.
Yeah, you knew he was gone.
I knew he was gone.
Yeah, but they still hit for me when you see that yellow box on Sky Sports come up with a bid accepted. This was like just pre Fabrizio Romano really being big, so Sky Sports was the place to be. Finding out that we'd failed to sign Sino Berahino and being depressed all summer.
Suddenly became like a big
thing.
Yeah,
I've got to say Walker. I think we're both going to agree on that.
I mean, I don't think an honourable mention maybe. I would say Luca, but I don't.
No, I don't think there is an honourable mention for right back, to be honest.
But apart from that, I mean, I can't say Porro is really early. So
yeah, I don't. We can't include Porro because it's too early. I don't think there is an honourable mention for right back, to be honest.
Even back in like Martin Jol, I remember when I was a kid, right? Oh, there's one name I can think of, but you didn't even see him play. Stephen Carr. I used to love him as a kid. Maybe
I'll let you have that as your...
I saw about Stephen Carr. He scored a banger against Man United as well. I was at that game.
I'll let you have that as your honourable mention then, because neither of us got another answer for right
honestly,
back.
Honestly, he was one of my favourite players actually. He was sweet to my dad when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
He was like I love Stephen Carr. He was like brilliant.
Holding midfielder then, I'm going to go Moussa Dembele. There is only one answer. Oh, Moussa Dembele. Do you know what depresses me the most? Right. So I was born on the 19th of January, and he wore number 19, and I never owned a Dembele shirt. It's on my list to get one. I've got a Ledley King shirt now.
Do you have like a retro one? You buy like a retro one or something?
Well, I want to try and... So I got a Ledley King shirt from Classic Football Shirts when I went to London before Christmas. So I'm holding out, and as soon as the Dembele one comes out, I'm going to get it. And then I'll get it framed. But yeah, I think we can both agree on that. There's only one answer for that.
There's not really an argument for that, really.
He was just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And my honourable mention for that position, I think there's a couple of players that were like... Well, I think there were a couple of players that were like... players that you look back now and you think, oh, Paulinho was great. And players like that, you sit and think, oh, they were kind of it. But for me, his partner in that final year at the Lane when they were both fit, my honourable mention is going to be Wanyama.
if he stayed fit, like those two would have been unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. And they were so good when they played together.
Injury, because I think Wanyama's injury killed him.
Wanyama got injured, and then just as he was coming back, Dembele got injured. Dembele was out for ages, and then it was him and Sissoko partner for ages. It was fucking awful. This was before Sissoko became a bit of a vibe kind of player. He was in that bulk where he was just shit.
Vibe player.
Yeah. No, but I felt like he became a bit of a cult hero towards the end.
You know what? It's like Emerson now. That's how I see him.
Yeah, kind of. We know he's shit, but do you know what? He gives everything. I still remember when we beat Bournemouth.
When you criticise these players, this is what I don't like about, maybe because not streams as much as me. When you criticise these players, some people say, oh, he's abusing this player. Or you
can still like a player without criticising them.
He does a lot of effort, but at the end of the day, these players, quality-wise, they weren't good enough, like Sissoko and Emerson. I'm just being real. I'm not saying I go to the game and I swear at him or abuse the player because I don't really. To be fair though, the other day I was getting shouting at Ange to get Emerson off the pitch the other week.
This is the thing. So
10 minutes. But that's a bit different from seeing there shouting abuse of the player.
Yeah. This is the thing. So for me, Sissoko, I remember I think it was Bournemouth he scored against, and there's a celebration wheeling around the fans doing this, and I love it. I loved it.
Was that on the Jose?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was because we had the white kit with the blue triangled collar.
He scored 2 goals under Jose.
Yes, he did. He scored one. I saw him score live once. That was when we played West Ham. We were 2-0 up and lost 3-2. A fucking game still tortures me. But yeah, I think he scored twice under Jose. But yeah, so for me, Wanyama's my honourable mention there at defensive midfield. For me, it was Michael
Carrick.
I didn't watch Carrick to comment. That's my problem. The only
to watch Michael Carrick for me was he was only at Spurs for 2 years, but the guy was. I mean, if you speak to United fans, they'll probably tell you more.
Yeah,
he's the most underrated.
My granddad used to talk about him all the time.
He literally, no one really spoke about him when he was playing. Like he would play for England not as much as well. Like for me, he should have been starting for England because he was their best holding midfielder option.
Yeah.
But the guy, his passing was just like unbelievable, and it wasn't like Huddleston, where Huddleston was say he didn't have the speed to carry on the attack. For example, Huddleston would just sit back and just spray passes and have the old walloping goal. Carrick used to be able to do that, and he's also a good ball carrier. I don't know if you remember this game because I know how old you were, but we went to the last game at Highbury, and Carrick actually got man of the match along with Henry that day. But Carrick for me was probably the man of the match, 100%. He was the best player. There was one instance in that game when he gets the ball and he goes past 3 or 4. And bear in mind, this is Arsenal 1 or 2 years after the Invincibles, so they still had a really amazing team. Yeah. He went past 3 players, rounded their keeper, but he missed, hit the side netting. But it was just he was literally running that game. It was
I think it's funny you mentioned him when you were talking about Carrick, but Tom Huddleston as well was a player that I really liked. Yeah. I've met Huddleston actually. I met him a few years back at a Northampton Town Derby County pre-season friendly. I shouted, "Tom Huddleston, you know," and he walked over, signed the back of my program. I've got a photo with him that you will never see what it looks like.
And he's a really nice guy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's absolutely lovely. He scored for United a few weeks ago for their under-21s or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
is he doing it just for to stay match fit?
No, he's doing it for his coaching badges. So part of it, you have to play with the team and coach them during the course of the game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I think Paul O'Keefe was tweeting something about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw
people
that.
Were asking
I didn't really take much notice of it. And I saw a picture of him in a United shirt and I was like, what's this?
So we're saying Dembele starting.
Yeah.
Who are we agreeing on for honourable mention? I think I'm going to say Wanyama.
In my opinion, I'm going to say Carrick, but yeah. You didn't see Carrick, so...
No, I'll tell you what, we'll have one selection for each because I can't comment on Carrick. So I'll have the 2 images and a slash or something.
Right,
I don't know. Right, well, in no particular order for these 2 central midfielders because we can argue that they play different roles. We're not limiting each position to a role, we're just limiting to a player and the role they would have playing in midfield.
I think this will get interesting now.
The first one, completely non-negotiable for me, is Luka Modric.
Yeah,
there's
no way anyone else is going to go in instead of Luka Modric.
Yeah, you can't. No, you just can't argue with that. You just can't. And I think for me, I only got to see him for such a small period at Spurs, but you see what he's done at Real Madrid and see what he's done for the duration of his career. And people can make the comment about the Ballon d'Or and did he do enough with Croatia to deserve it, whatever. But the career he's had, the kind of player he's been, the longevity he's had has been absolutely unbelievable. And we got to see him in his younger years where his legs were the best, where he had the most energy, where he had the most drive, if you like. And he was just outstanding. So for me...
But I remember, David, maybe you weren't aware at this time, but when we signed Modric, a lot of Spurs fans were like against him in the first season.
Yeah, they didn't have a clue. They
were like, no. But then I watched him because I knew we were going to sign him. It was one of the first deals I ever saw Levy do, like before the window even opened.
Yeah.
With Modric for 16 million. Now, at the time, to be fair, that was quite, not like massive money, but...
for us, it was quite a bit.
For us, it was because it eclipsed the Bent transfer before, because that Bent was our record transfer before that. 16 million, Darren Bent. Anyway, but let's not talk about that. But so I watched him for Croatia in the Euros before we signed him, because we signed him before the Euros started, and he was probably the best player in that Euros. Arguably, it was someone else coming through. It was Perisic maybe or something like that.
One thing I will always be grateful of Daniel Levy for is taking less money for him, but not selling him to Chelsea.
Yeah, to be fair to him, I'll give him credit for like not selling him to
I
Chelsea.
thought
he was gone.
I remember there was rumours about the fact that he wouldn't even take Abramovich's phone calls because he knew that was Modric he was calling about. Yeah. My other central midfielder, this is a tough one.
I know who I'm going to pick. So.
Because you've got the likes of Dele Alli, you've got the likes of Christian Eriksen, you've got the likes of Rafael van der Vaart, you've got the likes of... There's just so many options.
I'll go Rafa every time, but this is just personal.
If this was 5 years down the line, Pape Sarr would probably be in there for me if he keeps playing the way he's playing, because I absolutely adore him. I think he's a great player, and I think his ceiling is...
In my opinion, he's our player of the season, but that's just...
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the sky's the limit for him, and it's incredible.
I think people don't know it's on this is 11 podcast, obviously, but it's not obviously... digressing from it, but for me, Sarr, without him in midfield, we look so different. Like
I agree. And actually, it's funny you say that, because I've got a Football Manager Network say with a friend of mine at the minute. He's at Newcastle, I'm at Spurs. Sarr went off to AFCON over December, and I won one game out of 9 in the entire of December in all comps. So, that's when I realised how important he was for me, let alone for Spurs. It's a tough one, but I'm going to say, my monitor's about to turn off. I'm going to say it has to be Rafael van der Vaart.
Yeah, please, yes.
I love Rafael van der Vaart. He was just... I still tweet him every now and again going, when are you coming back, and telling your missus to fuck off and coming back and be coach? Because we all know his missus didn't like the weather, and that's why he left, right? Let's just get that clear now. She didn't like the weather. That's why she left. But for the time he was here, oh my God. We never went to Anfield and beat Liverpool the way we beat them. I think it was 2-0, Modric and Van der Vaart scored. And he had the game of his life. The goals against Arsenal.
Arsenal celebrations were literally like my favourite.
Incredible. And when we talk about players that get the club, and when we talk about players that leave everything on the pitch, he epitomised exactly what that was. And for me, he never played at the club long enough to call him a legend, but he's a cult hero without a shadow of a doubt. And
I think with me, maybe people don't know the story of me and Rafa van der Vaart. I know I was talking.
I think you've told me this before, actually.
Yeah, so I used to watch Ajax when I was like a lot younger, and I used to like a lot of the Dutch players naturally because I used to watch Ajax. Because when I was younger, you had all the time in the world to watch as much football.
Yeah, you just watch as much football as you can, no matter what you're watching. Swedish third division or wherever the fuck.
And Sky used to put on Dutch football sometimes. Anyway, I used to watch it, and I used to really like Van der Vaart. And obviously, I was literally, for some reason, I just really liked him when I was a kid. I was following his career. You remember, News Now used to have these really bad sites like Club Call. And I thought the other one was Spurs something. And these were like really bad sources. But to be fair, maybe some of them were right. But it was clubcall.com. I don't know what happened to that site. I don't know if it still exists anymore. And I used to follow his career, and he went to Real Madrid. I was like, "There's no chance to come to Tottenham now. He's gone to Real Madrid."
Yeah, and we
played the Champions League. And then I remember sitting on Sky Sports, and they go, there's like a Champions League player who was like available, like a cut price, and Spurs are trying to get him because what they did on Sky. I don't know if you remember this. They teased us.
Yeah, they give a little bit of details, but they wouldn't tell you what the player was.
Yeah, even that. I didn't tell the player was till like the day. And then I sat next to my brother that day. I was like, it must be Van der Vaart. And I'll tell you why I knew, because the day before I read reports on one of these random websites, like a couple saying Van der Vaart's available because they're trying to shift all these players. Because they signed all these players.
Yeah, they were trying to have a big clear out
or something. And the day before he was 18 million, was still quite big money at the time. And obviously it must have fallen to 9 million, as Renat explained to us. I still remember watching Sky Sports. Like I must have watched it for like 10 hours straight.
Honestly, I
So
loved
happy
him.
we signed him. I was like, and when he signed, I was so happy we got him. I was like, oh my god,
it was just incredible. Honestly, I can't. But do you know what? We said we weren't going to agree, but we've actually agreed on a fair amount of this.
Yeah,
by the way, guys, I'd like to preface this by saying we literally the only criteria was starting 11, honourable mentions, a manager, formation, and players that have played for the club for a decent amount of time to be nominated. They were the only stipulations. We didn't discuss any of this. Obviously, me and Harry have known each other for years, so we've kind of had conversations there or thereabouts. But it's been ages since we've been at least 5 years since we've sat down and had a favourite 11. Who would be your midfield honourable mentions?
I think Ericsson, as much as
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Another one for me is I'll probably say
if you say Harry Winks, I'm going to tell you to fuck
Madison.
off.
I was going to say Madison, but
it's too early for that.
Really early, yeah.
Okay, I'll go with Ericsson as an honourable mention. We don't need an honourable mention for exactly every single position.
I mean,
but
I already said Carrot before, but and for me, I don't really like Genius, so he's not going in there.
Yeah, I don't like Dwayne Genius either, so that.
I thought he was so overrated. To be fair though, he played alongside Carrick, and Carrick made him look good, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah, and now he does commentary with Alan Shearer and whoever else. They also make him look good. So.
He's actually scored a free kick at Old Trafford. We drew 1-1 that season under Martin Joel. It was a pretty good free kick. Like Genius, you should chip him with goals. To be fair to him,
yeah.
But I never used to like his all-round play at all. I thought he was just
I was never a fan of him personally. He's an even worse pundit. So let's not even go on that conversation.
It's only because he only sort of attacked him before I think of back in that day. That's the only reason I thought of it.
Yeah. The front three then. I think this is probably. I will start with the left, and
that's a kind of obvious one.
There is only one answer.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. Spoiler alert. Yeah. He's on the back of his shirt. For me, it has to be. Say?
Gareth Bale?
No, for me on the left, I'm starting Heung-min Son.
No, I'm sorry. Bale was way better than Son, man.
Who says Bale's still not in the team?
See, this is where we're going to disagree because I'm going to put Ginola instead of Son. This is where I got a disagreement with Marlon. That's why.
Right. Okay. So, let me do my full front three. So I'm going to go Son, Kane, Bale.
I mean, that's See, it would be Bale, Kane, and Ginola. Because for me, Ginola was like, as a kid, I used to be mesmerised by the way he used to play. I thought the guy was so good.
See, it's hard for me to kind of like, for the same reason as why we missed out on Carrick. It's hard for me to comment on Ginola because I didn't watch him. There just wasn't enough. I mean,
it's weird you mentioned that sort of thing. I'm missing out because my dad speaks a lot about players like Oscar Diaz, Ben Hoddle, even Gascoigne. Like I didn't see any of Gascoigne.
No.
And if my dad said his best 11 in his Spurs,
they'd be in there, but then you'd have the same conversation. Do you know what I mean?
He'd be like, "I want Oscar Diaz. I want Glenn." He will name that basically that cup winning side pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because he's for him that was his like Spurs.
The era, if you like. Whereas I guess in a way we've been kind of blessed.
Me, I was probably Harry when I was younger, I guess.
Yeah, I think for us we've been kind of blessed because we've seen a large group of players that have had been quality over the years. Whereas that era, there was a period that had great players, and then it fizzled out into crap until we finally got our shit together.
In the 80s and then the 90s went like
plummeted completely, and then we started building it up again. And
I think
Baldy took over and. Whatever from there.
He's not like Terry Venables. I don't know if you guys, he tried to buy the club apparently, and then they.
I've read some stuff about it, but from what I can gather, he
was the manager, and he had Gary Lineker up front. My dad wasn't a massive fan of like. I'm not saying he didn't rate them, but like people like Clive Allen. Clive Allen scored 49 goals in the
yeah.
And my dad was like, he didn't think he was a very good player, let's say. But he goes, he used to stand on the in the box and just score tap-ins. But he scored 49 goals, so you can't really say much about it. But he played with Diaz, Hoddle, and them, so he probably just set him up pretty much, I guess. I mean, everyone knows that famous Glenn Hoddle goal, when he rounds
Oh, yeah, we rounds keeper.
Yeah. Ricky as well, my dad was like, he wasn't a great player. Like, he was good in spells, but obviously he's famous for that goal when he went past, like, how many players?
So... My honourable mention at right wing is Aaron Lennon.
Yeah. 100%.
We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all sang the song. There's only one Aaron Lennon. I can't chant too loud because people are asleep. But yeah, Aaron Lennon for me. I was there when we played at Wembley and we beat Everton 4-0. and Lennon walked over to the end and clapped the Spurs fans, and literally the
Yeah, he was.
entire of
I
that
was there actually. I
stand
remember.
was singing "There's only one Aaron Lennon." And for me, do you know what, that Champions League campaign under Harry Redknapp, the assist at the San Siro, it was just a pocket rocket. That's what I used to call him as a kid. It'd be off. That's it. One ball and it'd be off. And I just loved him. And he gave
I love
everything for the
Lennon
shirt.
when we beat Chelsea, he scored the winner in 06. That's the game.
Bloody hell. You asked me to remember years back.
So
I can't remember that
he
far
also
back.
scored the header for the equaliser. And basically, you can go watch the highlights. Keane takes on Ferreira on the left-hand side. And he basically, Ferreira falls over. I think it was Paulo Ferreira who fell over. So Keane rounds it, does a cross in like this. And Lennon comes in and somehow uses his left foot and caresses it into the other end of the goal, and we went ballistic. I was at that game.
Would you agree with the honourable mention for the right wing then in Aaron Lennon?
Yeah. There's
my honourable mention. So my cult hero mention for striker, because I got cult hero and honourable mention. Then obviously we said Harry Kane. My cult hero for striker would have been Peter Crouch. I think he had some massive moments in a Spurs shirt, some really big moments. The goal against City at the Etihad, the goal at the San Siro.
Crouch
it's really hard
in the Champions League, really.
Yeah, because it's really hard because he was so important under Harry Redknapp, and I don't think a lot of younger fans now.
Redknapp sold him eventually.
Yeah, but Redknapp had a habit of buying and selling the same fucking players at different clubs. He's like me on Football Manager. You go to
wasn't getting minutes because we got Adebayor on Defoe and he wasn't getting minutes. That's why.
Yeah, because that was that. Do you remember that was the year where Adebayor leaked the fact that he wasn't going to leave Spurs, and he had a notice from God that he was time to leave. Yeah. I remember having the conversation with you, going, "How long is he going to be here? Because this is a joke." And he finally decided to leave.
We did that Juju stuff. Remember the Juju stuff?
Oh my God, mate! Yeah. Honestly,
that was on the ABB. Remember, he goes, he can't come back because there's Juju.
Because Juju, yeah. I fucking hated that. Do you know what's funny actually?
Would probably be because I don't think he's a cult hero. I don't think people agree on him being a cult hero. So for me, my cult hero is probably Jermaine Defoe.
See, I would have had Defoe as my honourable mention.
See, my cult hero is probably going to be, and I know people won't like this, but Berbatov. The guy was just too good. I can't leave him out. Berbatov for me was just. I know Crouch scored more important goals, but Berbatov.
But do you know what? I've got another name.
Do you know how good that guy was?
Where do we put Robbie Keane on this list? Because he's got to have some sort of mention. He was just unbelievable for the celebration alone, let alone the goal.
Yeah. The backflips and that.
Yeah.
Do you know it's funny? I remember one game against Reading, he scored 4 goals. Yeah. There's 2 goals in that game where I was like gobsmacked how he got them in. So there's one, if you go watch the highlights, from a corner, I don't remember who put the cross in anyway. He could cross it in, and the guy literally scored it on the turn with like one touch.
Yeah.
And then the last goal he scored in that game, the ball goes up in the air, and I didn't think I was like, how did he do this? He smashes it with a volley, top corner. I mean, he scored some. Obviously, in the final when we beat Chelsea, he scored the equaliser on the penalty.
It's so hard, man. There's so many names we can put in that striker role.
That was just too good. I mean, just too good.
And we can't forget the man, the myth, the legend, Vincent Janssen as well. I mean, do you know what? I remember I had I was proper Vincent Janssen prop, right? All the time. Yeah. Harry will tell you guys. All the time was like, he's going to be shit. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. He did, he's been in the Dutch league 1 year professionally. Top goal scorer, he'll be sick. No, he's going to be shit. No, he'll be sick. No, he'll be shit. When he scored, I think against Bournemouth in the cup, it was literally a tap in, the ball taps in. And I went mental all over Twitter. I was tagging Harry, I fucking told you. I knew he'd fucking slap. That's the first of many. He's going to go on and compete with Kane. He fucking didn't. And I've never been more disappointed in my life.
The only striker, I think, I know it sounds really off the cuff, that I thought was a decent backup for Kane. I know Richarlison was there for 1 year, but I know a lot of people won't agree with him. Probably Vinicius.
Yeah, I like Vinicius personally, actually, to be fair. I thought that people was having to go at him for doing the Mbappe celebration.
Yeah.
It's like Liverpool fans trying to trademark clock punch into the cop.
I don't think... I like Jose as a manager. I don't think Jose already gave him a fair shot, but I don't think Poch gave Lucas a fair shot either, to be honest.
No.
Lucas would be a good honourable mention on the right wing, but anyway.
Well, I was going to say, so have you got an honourable mention on the left from Son?
Son, yeah. But then another one I was thinking of, obviously Son, because he's not in my team, but another one that you don't remember him though. So I can't say it. I was going to say Christian Ziege, but you don't remember.
Yeah,
Christian
no, I
Ziege.
don't remember. I mean, to be fair, I
He
was
scored.
worried you were going to
He
say
scored a
Nesta
banger.
Chadley for a second. Then
They scored a banger against Arsenal. Like if you go
is that
watch
the
the
criteria for being an honourable mention? Must have scored against
No,
Arsenal.
no. Also, I was thinking Reto Ziegler, but you won't remember
Yeah,
him. I used
no.
to like him as a kid, but he
I'm
got
just trying
sold
to
eventually. He
think.
was Swiss winger. Yeah,
I'm just trying to think if there's anybody honourable
I think
mention
I'll
for
put
the
like
left.
Matthew Etherington, Simon Davies, but we're talking like 90s, 2000s.
Yeah, that's before my time.
They weren't
Just,
even that great. They were just players that were like half decent.
I'm just trying to think if there really was anybody off the left, but there really wasn't, was there? Really? I mean, you had Nkudu, who was a disaster. Nasser Chadley, who had his
He was
moments,
alright. He was
but
alright.
generally wasn't
To
all
be
that.
fair, as a squad player, he wasn't bad.
No, still not enough to get an honourable mention though. And you know, it's
No.
funny. You were talking about AVB a minute ago, right? I forgot this. So on Football Manager, I'm leaving Spurs at the end of the season to go to Bayern, and I was
you're doing Harry
looking.
Kane, basically.
Yeah, well, I was reading what my assistant manager said after a press conference, and under his favourable people, it says somebody because he used to work with them, me because I'm the current manager, and AVB idol.
What?
And I was like, I literally was sat there laughing my head off. If you idolise Andre Villas-Boas, go and get your head checked because something has gone wrong.
In AVB's defence, though, and this is from someone who wasn't very hot on him.
We lost 6-0 to Man City. The Etihad. Negredo scored like 2-3 times. There is no defence.
Neil Baldini stitched him up so badly with that window. He
yeah,
thought he was getting Hulk and Willian and Oscar and all these players. End up with players like Chadley.
Yeah, but he was still a shit manager. We could have been given Ronaldo that summer and it has still lost 6-0 to City. So,
and to be fair to him, and this is why I'll give him massive credit, he was the one who moved Bale into the middle, like, as a second striker, and that got the best out of him that year. Like that for me, that was Bale's best season in his career.
Because he kept scoring kind of like central, take a little niggle onto the left and then just hit it. On the topic of managers, then, I think we're going to have the biggest disagreement on this. Who's your manager?
Harry Redknapp.
Harry Redknapp's my honourable mention.
You're going to say Pochettino, aren't you?
Nope.
Okay, I have no idea now.
I'm going to get so much hate for this. I'm going to say Jose Mourinho.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
Because if you look at his back end of United and the problems there and the lack of an experienced centre half, came into Spurs. Toby was on the back foot, injury after injury after injury. He had to play with direct centre back because he didn't have any other options. Because Davinson Sanchez is a donkey, no disrespect to him, but he was. It was like Bambi on ice. For me, the way we were attacking under Jose, that people forget this, and I've had this argument with people 1,000 times every time I talk about Jose at Spurs. We were playing such attacking football. The minute we started making defensive mistake after defensive mistake, Lloris was dropping the ball in his own net. He went more defensive. We stopped scoring.
It was after the West Ham game.
Yeah. So can you blame him? Bearing in mind as well, the options he had, he was bringing on Harry Winks because he didn't have options.
You know what? Again, he's another manager who, if you've got Skriniar, instead of going to Italy and going there to have some meals and Italian pasta and Italian pizza, like Mr.
Like I'm doing
Steve Hitchen did.
Yeah, don't
remember those pictures when he was in Italy and he walked out of a restaurant and I'm like, everyone thought he was going to negotiate the Skriniar deal.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Like, this guy's there on a jolly. He's on holiday.
Do you remember that secret scout Prem account or something? It was
we
agreed a deal and he could deactivate. This guy's disappeared off the face of the earth. Thank God that Twitter Blue didn't exist back then because they'd have got so much money from it and it just dipped after mugging us all off. I won't lie to you. I'm a Spurs fan. Have you seen Spurs Twitter, mate? They all fucking lie to each other. But yeah, I think. So what would you say then? Because Harry Redknapp's definitely my honourable. Who would be your honourable mention?
I'll see. My manager would be Redknapp, and as much probably Pochettino. Honourable mention. See, I would have said Jose, right? But they didn't let him play the final.
But that's exactly why, for me, I give Jose the benefit of the doubt because in my mind he wins that final.
I think he would have won the final personally. And
let's be realistic. Jose was at Spurs for 18 months and got to a final. Pochettino was at Spurs for 7.5 years? Got to the same final plus one Champions League final, which he lost. So,
he lost to Jose, actually, if you really want to know.
So?
He lost to Jose in the first final he was in 2014, remember?
Yeah. That was
Jose
when,
didn't put Zuma on Ericsson the whole game. I just remember that.
yeah, that was not fun.
I'm not the only reason I don't say Jose, and it's not kind of disagree with you in terms of your like way of thinking. It's more because of like what they mean for Spurs in the sense. Because for me, Redknapp, obviously, I was going to pick him because he's always been my favorite manager.
Yeah,
I just love him as a person as well, not just his management. Like it just is into. I just love watching his.
I tell you what, then
with Poch, I think because of just what he did in terms of like he gave us our only one and only title challenge, really. So. And you know me, I was, very critical of Poch in terms of his stubbornness. Yeah, but I think for me, it has been honorable mention because of what he did. Like,
I'll agree with you on Redknapp, and I'll agree with you on Redknapp, but I'm keeping my honourable mention. I'll change my Redknapp and Jose round. Have Redknapp as my starter to agree with you, and Jose. Yeah. I'm not saying Pochettino.
Okay, all right, okay.
That would be like me saying Sol Campbell as a Premier League starting centre back. I'm sorry, but
so.
No.
Yeah,
yeah. And that was the only time those words would have come out.
Stayed, him and King could have been like a great partnership,
Coulda, woulda, shoulda in it. That's what you get for being a cunt. Yeah, cool. So we've actually come up with a decent 11 then. So to summarise, Lloris in goal, Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld, Ledley King, Walker the Wanker, Moussa Dembele, Van der Vaart, Luka Modric, Son, Kane, Bale, and Harry Redknapp. Could you imagine Harry Redknapp with that quality of players? Yeah. Fuck, he wouldn't know what to do with it. Bless him.
We would have told them, "I'll go out there, enjoy yourself, lads." So
I know. It's that thing on. It's like the button on Football Manager when you make a sub and you go, "Don't worry about the result. Go and have some fun."
Yeah.
To be fair, that's. I think that's the thing I remember the most about the Redknapp era was it just felt like every game the players were just going out to enjoy themselves. It wasn't about passing triangles or pressing or whatever.
Actually, inept, but I do think he did have some sort of tactics. Like he just liked to play very traditional football. But he did in games, to be fair to him, he did tweak it sometimes. Like, when we won 3-2 away to Arsenal.
Yeah.
When we went 4-4-2 and he said he moved Rafa there for like a reason on the right.
For a reason, yeah.
So, if you watch the interview afterwards, he explains it. So he did have some tactical, like the guy can't be an idiot. He has some tactical knowledge. But it was obviously, I don't think nowadays Redknapp would have lasted with these.
No, 100% not. I mean, he might have done if Prime Bale, Kane and Son being fed passes from Van der Vaart and Modric. But I think that's a well-rounded 11. I'm actually surprised with how much we agreed on, to be fair.
Yeah.
Considering we had no kind of communication at all.
Even one, no.
Next week's episode, make sure you drop it a like and follow the channel if you haven't already. Next week's episode, I haven't told Harry this yet, so spoiler alert for Harry. I'm going to do a keep, low and sell for our current squad for next season. Really have a chat about what kind of signings we think we need, whether players have underperformed, overperformed. I might even do like an A, B, C for ratings of how they've been this season, what the expectation was, how they've actually performed, and where we'd rank them on that. So that'll be fun. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We are back. This has been fun. And honestly, I'm so glad I picked this up again. And we will have, I've already had people message me, leave me alone. No, I'm joking. I've already had people message me asking if we'll have guests on. We will, but just give us a few weeks to get in the swing of things. Give me a few weeks to get into the editing swing of things and work out how long it takes me. And then we'll figure that out as and when we go. Sounds good?
Yep.
Cool. Lovely. I will see you guys next week. See you later. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.